And greetings. Happy Friday. Welcome to the Steve Deace Show here live and on demand on Blaze TV, radio, and podcast. Steve Deace on location one more day here in the corner of a Boise, Idaho hotel room. Joined, of course, back in Des Moines by trusted agents. Todd Erzin and Aaron McIntyre. Editor-in-chief of The Blaze, Matt Peterson, is going to join us here momentarily for the Deace Group. We're brought to you by our friends over at Relief Factor. If you're struggling with chronic pain, it's usually because they've got too much inflammation in those joints, and Relief Factor might be the relief you're looking for. No guarantee here, but over the years, over 1 million people have tried the 3-week quick start for just $20. 70% of them saw such great results in 3 weeks or less that they stuck with Relief Factor long term. So why don't you see, if you don't see a difference in your pain in 3 weeks or less with Relief Factor, the drug-free supplement created by physicians who can prescribe drugs, but they understand that often those will just deal with symptoms, maybe mask them, and sometimes they come with side effects. Why not go after the source of your pain, that inflammation, and that is Relief Factor. Try the 3-week quick start today. ReliefFactor.com, just $20. ReliefFactor.com. Want to say thank you to the Idaho letters with states with the letters of I. Confuse me. The Idaho Family Policy Center last night, fantastic event. Over 400 came out to this event last night here in the great state of Idaho. A lot of great conversations. The entire event was Q&A. For well over an hour. I think they wanted it to be only an hour, but my answers were so long, it was well over an hour. So put that on me, Ricky Bobby. So I want to thank everybody there at the Idaho Family Policy Center for hosting us out here. Got a chance to see some of our old friends like Brian Festa and Ryan Cole and others out here as well. So that was very cool too. But let's get down to business now. It's time for the Deace Group. Your weekly look at the week that was begins, as it always does, with issue 1. Bleep, Lord Nefarious says.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from.
Have you thought about the fact that this week in Utah, a white Christian got killed by a white Christian?
What does that hat say?
You're damn right I am, John. I was a guest on the Jimmy Kimmel show. He every night has a right to come into any house that wants to watch and entertain Americans, just as Greg Gutfeld on Fox has a right to be not funny and go on his network and entertain Americans. It's a part of who we are, John, and frankly, it should shake every American that the President of the United States is out there firing comedians who make fun of him.
Okay, Senator, but one moment, because you said a lot there, and we don't have a motive yet. We don't know yet. We're waiting. Obviously, we've heard what the governor's had to say, what the FBI director said today.
Come on, we don't have a motive yet.
The thing that is so obvious about it, and I think is so disgusting, is that you don't really care. You don't really care about Charlie Kirk.
Hash out the crime statistics?
Not exactly like.
You need conservatives to be afraid of getting killed when they go to events so that they look to their leadership to turn down the temperature.
I would like to hear the President of the United States, instead of pointing fingers, simply say that political violence has no place in this country.
I think that liberals need to wake up and finally realize that if they're not willing to do it, it will never come down. If you wanted Charlie Kirk to be alive, Donald Trump shouldn't have been president for the second term.
Just so you guys know, I'm fully religious too. We know. You don't respect your father. Oh, I do, but Charlie Kirk is definitely not the morals I support or the religion I support, where you're just taught to love your neighbor, not hate your neighbor.
Also, it was very touching in a way that I think many of us didn't expect. A very intimate portrait into this relationship between the suspect's roommate and the suspect himself, with him repeatedly calling his roommate, who was transitioning, calling him my love, and I want to protect you, my love. So it was this duality.
When I was president, in the aftermath of tragedies, my response was not, who may have influenced this troubled young man to engage in that kind of violence, and now let me go after my political opponents.
I mean, Hezbollah, bombed the embassy in Beirut, and including many Americans. So I just feel it's quite inappropriate.
You are an Islamophobe, and although you live here, I want you to know, as mayor, you are not welcome here. And the day you move out of the city will be the day that I launch a parade celebrating the fact that you moved out of the city.
You are now requiring applicants to be able to do a certain kind of pull-ups, which a lot of women cannot because of physiological differences.
Let me just say, you cannot share a country with literally 1 second of what you just saw. And you will not. It'll just be a matter of whether you decide, yeah, we're not sharing this, or you let them decide for you, and then you're on the receiving end. That's really the only choice. And with that, Matt Peterson is the guest. You get the first crack at the montage. What was the most wicked, vile, and disgusting thing that you just saw, and why?
I mean, I was excited to, come on and say funny things, but it just, watching these people in the aftermath of the assassination of Charlie Kirk, it just, you just hit a nerve with that montage, and it's very hard to talk about anything other than that. We are in a critical point in this country, and these people are clowns, and they're evil clowns, and they're saying evil things, and it just makes me sick. I don't even have words right now. Just watching that. I mean, the fact that all that's real and not parody is really pathetic.
Todd?
I'm glad Matthew's here. I think he's the perfect guest. When I was on his show a few months back talking about vaccines with him and Jill, and I just reminded him of his first appearance on the show way back. I read a column he wrote back when he was working for Claremont, and I said, Steve, you got to read this guy. And the nature of his column was, it was basically Groundhog Day. We're not playing by their rules anymore. That was years ago. I can't stress enough in the face of that. We're never going back. And if you do, God help you. Everything needs to change. Real conservatism needs to be tried. No talk. The minute you will not do what you say, you're out. Barack Obama right there is for the reason that Barack Obama is my worst of the week. He's the guy who was likely running most of the tyranny of the last 4 years. He was the auto pen. And we're going to sit here and let him lecture us about cooling down the tone? He is the guy who will order the kill shots in the future as soon as the Democrats get power. The four of us in this room and everybody else at the Blaze probably going to jail. Stop. That guy does not care about cooling down the tone at all. He is the one behind right now making sure that everybody within the sound of his voice believes that somehow Jimmy Kimmel is a greater martyr than Charlie Kirk. Over my dead body is that going to stand?
Aaron.
Kind of where Matt is, where there are bad montages and you can say things for effect to illustrate just how down the rabbit hole we've gone, either corporately as a country or specifically to the left. But last week and this week is just a different level, and it's just not appropriate, I don't think, to do any sort of that. To evil is on parade. It's just on parade. There's no other way to put it. And so you can have one of two reactions. You can either run or you can fight. And it's only going to be one of two reactions, and you're not going to have this choice in the future. You're either going to be fighting for the rest of your life or running for the rest of your life. And the choice is yours.
Yes.
You can run from these people for the rest of your life, or you can stare into the mouth of darkness and do not flinch and take it on. And that's the choice. That's just the choice. Whether it's just an absolute, I don't know what he's on, what destiny is on. Whether it's that on Piers Morgan, you just cannot debate that. You just can't. I don't know if you saw his entire appearance. It's just a completely different reality, and you can't reach it. Not even questioning that will reach that in that moment. Whether it's that or whether it's I mean, she's an attractive young lady at UNCW that's just possessed by demons painting over the beautiful rock mural to Charlie Kirk. Or at the very end, Mozzie Hirono from Hawaii. Hey, after all of this, under the bridge, water under the bridge, I guess, when it comes to men in female spaces, just on the floor of the Senate, Kash Patel, why are you making new applicants do pull-ups? She said that. There are physiological differences between men and women. After all this, with absolutely no self-awareness whatsoever. It's just, hello? Anybody there? No, there's not. Well, not a human anyway. So that's the choice before us. You live the rest of your life on defense, running away from this, or you stand and fight. And the choice you make right now is going to be the one that you stick with for the rest of your life.
I got to tell you, I'm just really not in the mood for the typical cheeky exit question at the end of the montage. So in light of that, Matt, I'm going to come back to you with just a quick follow-up question. As our editor-in-chief, and of course, the Blaze has been leading the way in trying to get to the bottom of who Republican Congressman Corey Mills actually is and who it is he actually answers to. And he was one of the deciding votes to not censure Ilhan Omar in Congress over her comments over Charlie Kirk a few days ago. And hey, I just kind of, was cheeky and joked, well, you can't expect him to, it's well known. He's got a thing for attractive Muslim women. But let's be serious about this for just a second. As the guy that's been overseeing our coverage on Corey Mills for the better part of this entire calendar year, I want to get your reaction to that vote and maybe where the story with him goes from here, because it kind of feels like whatever made man, because of some political attachments, maybe there from Florida, he's got maybe covering for him. It kind of feels like he voluntarily ripped that fig leaf off, and he's out in the open now. That's kind of my read on it, Matt. But what do you think?
Yes, Steve, I think this is a really important moment for Congress when it comes to Representative Mills. This guy has got to go. There's no question about that now. He has to go. And so, what's everyone's talking about is sort of exploded online and in Congress is the fact that you had some Republicans defecting and protecting Ilhan Omar, and he was one of them. And so for all the, war hero stuff, saving people from Afghanistan, all the supposed things we're supposed to think about Representative Mills, you're right. I mean, the mask is off when you decide not to go after one of the worst members of Congress, someone who, Nancy Mace, I happen to agree with her on this one, called an enemy of the state. And people are asking why, and we've been asking questions about Corey, as you know, and as you said, for this entire year. And I'll just sum it up as this: it's hard to know where to start with him, because you're talking about money, international arms company, bags of cash. You're talking about women, sextortion, restraining orders being debated right now in Florida. You're talking about stolen valor stories, claims of stolen valor from his past. It's hard to trust anything the guy says. The upshot of it is very, very simple, though, Steve. The Republicans have to primary this guy. There is an actual chance that he would lose, and the Democrats will destroy him in that district, even though it's a +7 Republican district. And at this point, he's got to go.
Let's get to issue 2, consequence culture.
Jimmy Kimmel Live is dead. Maybe it was a bad sign for the ABC late-night host when any of the approximately 521 memes that emerged after the news of his ouster were 521 times as funny as any joke he's told in his 22-year tenure at the helm of the network's comedy show. Here was his fateful and ghoulish bit that did him in.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Kimmel then proceeded to denigrate Charlie Kirk's friends and supporters. After broadcasting companies Sinclair and Nexstar gave notice to ABC they would no longer carry Kimmel's show, and after a brief but swift campaign to pressure advertisers on the Kimmel show, ABC announced the so-called comedian would be placed on indefinite suspension. It doesn't matter if ABC was looking for a fig leaf to rid themselves of Kimmel anyway. What we saw this week was a shift in the zeitgeist of our culture. Hopefully, that shift is permanent.
Yeah, I was talking to my buddy, conservative comedian Tim Young, about this morning. And I'll just repeat to the audience what I said to Tim. It doesn't, listen, Jimmy Kimmel's ratings sucked last week. They sucked the week before. They sucked the week before that. And they sucked the week before that, and before that, and before that. Tim can generate more audience on a Twitter space than Kimmel can on linear television. So they already were terrible. So this idea that, well, that's really why it was canned. His ratings were already terrible. And I know we're not used to winning around here, so we immediately have to put disclaimers on our own dubs. But true or false, guys, this was a really big win. Matt, I'll start again with you.
Hey, I'm gonna say true. I think this is an amazing moment. It's a silver lining in the midst of the darkness that we just looked at. I think it's huge. I think you're gonna have a lot more of this in the future. Both the affiliate stations actually coming out and saying we don't want you anymore, and you need to apologize, and we're gonna run a Charlie Kirk special during your time slot. I believe this is what winning looks like, and it doesn't. All the stuff people say. You're so right about this, by the way. Like, take the W. Take the W. This is a W. There's a ton of people in America who are sick of this nonsense. It doesn't make business sense. It doesn't make cultural sense. So we need to keep pushing. We need to keep pushing and demanding that people disavow, right, political violence and push. So anyway, I think this is a sea change, and we're going to see a lot more of it. And I'm not usually Mr. White Pill.
Hey, follow up to you, Matt. I thought our own Aaron, frankly, had the best take on this I heard anywhere all week. When he said on our show yesterday, hey, we're told to settle these things in the marketplace of ideas. This is literally the marketplace of ideas. Jimmy Kimmel expressed an idea. The marketplace stood up and said, yeah, we don't want, that's not an idea we want in our marketplace. Isn't this what everybody says they want? I thought that was a brilliant take. Let's welcome Jimmy Kimmel to the marketplace of ideas. The market has spoken, Matt.
Oh, no, the market has spoken. And this nonsense about Brendan Carr and the FCC because of some, comments he made, this is a top-down thing is absolutely ridiculous. You have a bunch of cowards in media who are executives who are going to use Trump, and the FCC as the excuse, of course. So, Trump made me do it. But they wanted to do it because of market forces, Crimea River. Like there's not even a comparison, right, when it comes to the sea of censorship we've witnessed. And the best part about this, besides Kimmel himself getting booted and it showing a cultural shift, and hopefully more is going to come soon, is that it exposes the left, because what they're doing now is absolutely reprehensible, and it's naked. Everyone can see them naked now, right? The worst offense to free speech in my lifetime is getting rid of this jackass comedian. No, actually, that was when someone was just murdered in broad daylight. Everyone knows this, and so they're exposing themselves. Like Nefarious is showing himself. The devil is being exposed, and that's a good thing.
Amen. Aaron.
So this is undoubtedly a good thing, and I don't think you even have to put any qualifiers. I kind of tagged that story at the end there that I don't really care if this was the fig leaf. Okay, if ABC wanted to make a point, they would have just kept him until this thing died down. If they just wanted to prove a point for whatever point they're trying to, they would have just kept him and racked up another W. So there's no qualifier on this. There is no taking a W at all. This is just a W. So I think we need to get that into our skulls. I mean, on one hand, my only regret in this entire situation is that Brendan Carr didn't actually bring the hammer down on ABC. But nevertheless, this is still a W. I just think, I think when it comes to what happened and what unfolded here with Jimmy Kimmel, you just have to understand the cornucopia or the vortex that this opens up. Because I wonder how many other corporations, how many other companies around the country are looking at this situation and saying, hey, this commie that I've got employed is a liability, whether or not it's in HR, whether or not it's in some front-facing PR department in your corporation. This individual might be a liability for me. And how many other corporations are looking at certain employees, certain front-facing employees, or even internal employees and thinking this person is already a liability? I think the tide has turned here. I think I can get rid of this person without too many retributions. So I don't think we can underestimate how big of a sea change this could be indicative of. And I would just say this as well. From what I'm seeing online, 5 years ago, this would have been like the accomplishment of the decade for the right. 5 years ago, this would have been the scalp of the decade for the right. I think this is a win, yes, but from what I'm seeing, people want more. People want more. And I think that is indicative of one very important truth. And I said this yesterday, and I'll say it again now. Our people are finally understanding this is a zero-sum game and are willing to totally allow or do what needs to be done to win this game. That's a very good thing. We've been screaming it for years. Wake up. I think a lot of people have woken up now.
That is, Aaron, you didn't even know where I was going to go next with Todd, but I mean, you segued there perfectly. Because, Todd, I would have never guessed 6 days ago, 7 days ago. We're on day 9 since Charlie was killed. I would have never guessed 6 or 7 days ago that this massive organic movement to expose all of these ghouls fetishizing his murder and just, add them to the unemployment rolls would have possibly have taken off, become as large and successful as it was. I would have never guessed 72 hours ago we could possibly claim a scalp the size of Jimmy Kimmel with a company the size of Disney. I mean, this is the company that decided ruining its reputation in a losing fight against Ron DeSantis was preferable to successful business practices. That is overseeing not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, 5 flop films in the last 4 years when it had 1 flop film in the last 40 years. I would have never foreseen, Todd, we were capable of this. And here's the thing also, brother, this was all done without 1 iota of lift from the Republican Party on any level whatsoever. I mean, and this is also done, frankly, with our largest organization, Turning Point USA, in mourning right now. I mean, they're focused on a memorial service on Sunday. This is all organic energy. I would have never predicted we were capable of this. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm in the near term, I'm proud and optimistic, although I agree with you, but the left hand is very much not concerned with what the right hand is doing on the left because, they are doing this stuff. But in the meantime, the gaslighting by the very same people with winks and nods is going on. It's not being the notion of this move being unconstitutional because government overreach. First, the people making those claims, wow, that's rich, and I'll get to that in a second. Furthermore, you have it exactly backwards on this. The government has always been involved in this. These are public airwaves. We used to have standards therein. And the fact that basically Destiny shoved his hand all the way up Jimmy Kimmel's backside and used him as a mannequin to say the exact same thing in code. Yeah, you're out of here. You're getting kicked off. Secondly, gaslighter in chief, David French. Now, him and and Barack Obama sharing love letters and bedroom eyes on Twitter. Good grief. See, this is David French telling you that this is constitutional is all you need to know that it isn't. This is the same guy that several years ago had me kicked off of then Twitter because I used the term, David, if you keep down this road in the way you are dealing with the left, we are going to end up in some very dark alleys dealing with this. Well, here we are. Charlie Kirk just got shot in the dark alley as your average college campus. All right? You turned me in for just using that term. And now you're the free speech crusader? Once again, we're never going back on this nonsense. Ever.
Amen. Matt, and you know what? I want to give you a chance to respond to the question I just asked Todd too. The organic level of energy. This is unlike anything. We've produced this when there was a singular leader, a Reagan when we were kids, a Trump now, okay? A singular moment like the contract with America when we were, in teenagers and in college and Aaron was, breastfeeding, okay? But this is never on our side. There's been nothing like this that has organically occurred where we have just taken the reins and done this ourselves. At least not that I can ever remember.
No, I absolutely agree with that. And I just have never seen or experienced anything like it because, you guys got me with that montage. The emotions came welling up, and I've just been channeling anger and grief into the work this week. And I sense, I know, I've talked to so many people who are also doing the same. Everyone in the audience everyone's at work. So for all the talk that we've talked about these things over the last 5 years, you just see the entire base galvanized steel reserve. You know what I mean? Everyone in this movement is arm in arm, and we're not like rushing or shouting or yelling. We're just moving forward and acting to destroy what the left has built, what the left has wrought. And I just keep thinking, we're not just going to dismantle, your institutions that you've built that are corrupt. We're not just going to get rid of your jackass, puppets on TV like Jimmy Kimmel. We are going to replace your entire ideology and your entire system. We're going to replace all those institutions. We're going to replace those companies. That's what we're going to do. That's the resolve that I see. And I don't see anyone faltering. I don't see anyone blinking. In the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's death, you are seeing a serious movement, the likes of which, yes, we've never seen on the right in our lifetimes.
No unity, only victory. And everything we're doing right now, keep doing it and keep doing more of it. This is the new baseline. Now, Todd is correct. We are never going back. We cannot go back. I saw Alyssa Milano say this morning on a video, it feels like my country is dying. Good. Still love who's the boss, by the way. But we need your country to die. That's not our country. And it's we're either going to live in our country or yours. And there's really not any middle ground. You guys have been making this painfully clear to us for more than a decade. And we've just been very, very slow to accept this and respond. Well, I think you're receiving our response now. And you will receive your reward in full. Exit question. If the future of consequence culture were a Led Zeppelin song, which Led Zeppelin song would it be? A, No Quarter. B, No Quarter. C, No Quarter. Or D, No Bleepin' Quarter. Aaron.
B and D, No Quarter and No Bleepin' Quarter.
Todd.
NOQUARTER exclamation point.
Matt.
Yeah, I'm going to go with all of the above for 1,000.
I also think we are reaching the point, though, where this political party is going to have to understand just messaging this stuff without action anymore isn't going to work either. Because we're kind of getting, we can keep doing more Jimmy Kimmels, but there's only so much we can do organically without an institution to manifest things. And if our own institutions will not manifest this energy, you're going to see this energy turn on our own institutions and say, okay, I guess we got to clean you out first. And that's probably good and long overdue. We've got a minute here. Anybody with a quick thought on that angle before we get out of here?
Yeah,
I just want to reiterate that real quick. I mean, the audience cares more about cleaning out our own house to get our army ready to actually go out there and fight than it does, the demon rats almost. We have to clean our own house. We have to get rid of people like Corey Mills, people who are grifters. We need real leadership, and we need it now, and we're going to demand it, and we're going to get it.
Absolutely. Faith without works is dead. I've been calling on right here in Iowa, Des Moines Register. Either start having free speech town halls or no lectures. Everybody should be trying to get that place shut down. Pull advertising. Don't subscribe. Either you're serious or you're not. Make demands that are unapologetic and uncompromising.
Yeah, this is truly a watershed for every single institution, left, right, center. as if one of those exists. This is truly an inflection point. You're going to have to make choices. You're going to have to choose sides quick, because it is war. It is war.
Quick break. We'll come back. How does Charlie's legacy live on? We'll discuss that next. All right, back here on the Steve Deace Show, live and on demand here on Blaze TV, radio, and podcast. Steve Deace here on location in Boise, Idaho. One more day before I am back home for a couple of weeks. Looking forward to that. Todd and Aaron are still at home. Matthew Peterson is right at home with us here. Our editor-in-chief here is our guest on this week's The Deace Group. Hey, before we get back to our weekly look at the week that was, a word about our friends over at Preborn, a ministry that I know Charlie was also very supportive of as well, because they understand now that we are in the throes of soul-to-soul combat in America. And this is not just another high-minded, raising money and, maybe we'll get some legislation passed in Washington, D.C., and who knows what in the Sam Hill we're doing with your money the rest of the year. That's why we don't partner with those folks on our show and urge you to give them your money, because I wouldn't give them mine. I have given mine, though, to Preborn because they understand where the battle is really at. It's right there on the streets. The battle is raging in the human heart. Moms considering the murder of their children. They're right there. They confront them. It's a gentle confrontation, but it's a confrontation nevertheless. In order to prick their conscience, for them to hear that heartbeat, that second heartbeat that doesn't belong to them via the ultrasound. But then even if they get mom to choose life, and it doubles the baby's odds that mom will, with your help at Preborn, with that as low as $28 donation to fund an ultrasound, they know, though, that the battle rages on. And so they're there for the mom and now a new family, both with prenatal care, postnatal care. All of this stuff is free of charge, though none of it is actually free. And that's why your generosity has been huge in helping Preborn save almost 40,000 babies this year, and their mamas, too. So let's keep it going. Preborn.com/Steve. That's Preborn.com/Steve. Make your tax-deductible donation today at Preborn.com/Steve. All right, let's welcome back in our panel. Let's march on here with issue 3. How does Charlie's legacy live on?
Well, we have a pretty good answer to that question already, as yesterday the board of Turning Point USA announced they've elected Charlie's widow, Erika, to serve as chair and CEO of the organization Charlie founded and grew exponentially. After last Friday night, there was never really any question.
2 days ago, my husband, Charlie, went to see the face of his Savior and his God. Charlie always said that when he was gone, he wanted to be remembered for his courage and for his faith. And one of the final conversations that he had on this earth, my husband witnessed for his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Now and for all eternity, he will stand at his Savior's side, wearing the glorious crown of a martyr. Evildoers responsible for my husband's assassination have no idea what they have done. They killed Charlie because he preached a message of patriotism, faith, and of God's merciful love. But they should all know this. If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country and this world. You have no idea.
And I think Erika's words have already proven to be somewhat prophetic just based on the last segment we did. The amount of organic uprising we have seen in our own ranks in response to pushing back to what we've been calling on our show this political sadism. The memorial is on Sunday. And then Monday, though, I know they're planning to get back to work as best as they can, back to normal on Monday, to fulfilling Erika's words there and the mission. So, Matt, let me go back to you again, since you knew Charlie better than any of us did here on the panel. How confident are you that both TPUSA, but then us as a whole here on the right, are prepared to make this more than a moment here and make it a real movement?
I mean, I am, and I'm like the thousandth person on the list in terms of knowing Charlie, but you know, we didn't know each other. I think that I'm 100% confident that this is the moment, and this movement is real. It already was real, and it's going to move forward in increasingly powerful ways. And you know, I don't like to get spiritual unnecessarily, but the blood of the martyrs, you know, cries out. It builds the church. And when someone is murdered in this way, in the midst of doing the good, for the sake of the good, that has a powerful effect on this earth. It unleashes things in people, and it unleashes realities across the land that we're just beginning to see the impact of. So I am very confident about the future of this movement. Does that mean that it will win ultimately? You know, in this life, I have no idea. But I know, I've felt, we all have this week, that something has changed. As everyone said, we're not going back. And his death will not be in vain in any way, shape, or form.
Amen. Todd, what do you think?
Well, we have challenges. This is where I said short term in the last segment. What we're seeing has been a blessing sustaining it. Here's the trick. Matt's absolutely right. It's going to take a faith-centered notion of the blood of the martyrs, which is supposed to be our faith, which writ large, which is what this country was founded on, all the time, not just in the immediate aftermath of our brother getting shot in cold blood in public. See, that's the thing. We get so easily distracted, but this is supposed to be the game all along, but we've just choked the life out of it in our comfort. In the immediate aftermath of this right now, there's a non-con Christians who have all kinds of excuses why they can't put their name on thing, but they're racing out in defense of Jimmy Kimmel. I actually got the do not sin, do not do evil so that good will come from it. In the name of Jimmy Kimmel. And that's where it's coming out on. Right now, our fellow Matthew, our fellow Catholic, Ross Douthat, is literally, instead of talking to you about the blood of the martyrs, he's giving you the feng shui of free speech. See, this is where we've gotten too smart by half in this country. We've been doing it wrong for a very long time. And as Steve says, the dog loves to return to that upscale vomit. You know, no, it's not the bad vomit before. We got the good vomit now. This is where I'm concerned. Long term, we need to talk like this, because everything that's going on right now in the near term, don't lie to yourself and say we're on offense now. This is still a defensive posture in the face of our brother getting murdered. Offense means after he's dead. And when things start to move on to after he's buried, and we move on to real life and we look each other, and we better still have that feeling of that widow right there. If we don't, I'm sorry, I'm skeptical.
Yeah, can I just say real quick? I think this is really important, Steve. A lot of these people who are talking right now on the right, like, you know, Douthat and everyone else, freaking out about, free speech and Kimmel. The thing is, they're finally attuned. They're like a spider on a web, right? They feel every vibration from the left. Yes. And so people in D.C. and New York and L.A. are like that right now. They're like, everyone's very upset here about free speech. And they don't realize that all the people like us, all the people in the base, all the people working, we don't care. We don't feel it at all. That has nothing to do with anything that we're going to move forward on. We don't care about their feelings or what they're saying about free speech or their asinine arguments. They're getting rattled in their little bubbles. We don't care. We're just moving on. I have absolutely no feeling for it. It doesn't matter.
I mean, I can't amen that enough.
Yeah.
Aaron.
10 years ago yesterday, that the U.S. House of Representatives held that symbolic vote to defund Planned Parenthood for 1 year in the aftermath of the Planned Parenthood dead baby body parts scandal exposed by the Center for Medical Progress.
Perfect example.
And we, as a nation, that should have been an inflection point that I think this one is. And this one, I'm not denigrating this inflection point whatsoever. But you look back 10 years ago, and I remember those videos just one after the other coming out. That should have been, God help us, forgive us. What have we done here? And it wasn't that. It wasn't that. It got reduced to a symbolic vote in the U.S. House of Representatives 10 years ago yesterday. But abortion, baby killing, baby murder is a high place. It's a high place. Nobody can look at dead baby body parts and imagine themselves as an unborn baby because we don't remember that. But when you look at last week, you look at the face of Irina Zarutska, people can understand, and that's my sister. That's my wife. And there's her blood on the floor of a light rail carriage. That story broke containment. And the left couldn't wait to get off of that story. Well, we got off of that story with the bullet through the neck of the most prominent conservative influencer and voice in this country. And that story could not be contained either. And I just think, guys, physiologically as human beings, unless we are hardened U.S. Navy SEALs or hardened criminals, and those are two categorically different things, but people who are used to violence either for good or ill, unless you are one of those categories, I just don't think as human beings we're wired to see what we saw multiple times last week. So this has penetrated deep, deep into the normie water table. Whereas before, 5 years ago, if there was some sort of scandal or moral outrage or something like this, you know, I can't imagine something like this 5 years ago, but if there would have been some sort of inflection point that maybe didn't rise to this level, there was some excuse from the, I'm above it all, I'm above the politics, and, you know, both sides have issues. You know, there would be some of that, a lot of that actually from the normies. But now I just think because of everything that we saw last week that penetrated the normie water table to the extent that it did, I don't think those people are either going to side with us or they're going to say nothing at all and not push against us. Mm-hmm. So we are not in the horse latitudes right now at all. I think the wind is beneath our sails. And I'll just say this. I would bet my house, I would bet Matt's house without his permission, Steve's house without his permission, Todd's house without his permission. I would bet all of our houses that this is a movement. If each and every person who heard Erika Kirk has just an ounce of her strength and resolve, it's the most value bet that I could make. But that's the question. Is this just an emotional moment? And I don't think it is. And Todd, when he first said that, don't mistake emotions for action. You said it better for me. Don't mistake your emotions in this moment for faith. I'm seeing more indications that people are getting real about this. So I think the wind is beneath the sails, but we have to continue in this and never go back. Never go back. And we can't. We don't have a choice.
Exit question. Well said, Aaron. The number one thing the right must do next is what, Todd?
To go to Batman, endure, sustainability.
Matt?
Two things. One, in the immediate moment, they need to demand that people renounce political violence and the extremism of the left. We need to absolutely demand that. Everyone needs to be able to say, I reject that. And that's something that is very important. Number two is going to be putting the right leaders in place. I think I'm very encouraged about what's going on, but it's the people who know and really want to get things done who are getting together and are just going to move forward. So we still have to rearrange our leadership, level and get the right people in place to move forward with full power.
Aaron?
Just suffer. Be willing to suffer. On top of that, though, that means you just, whether it's on your Facebook feed or whether it's in your local community, you're not letting things slide ever again. Ever again. You anytime where any bit of this ideology you're exposed to, you're not letting it slide. You're just not. The answer is no.
I normally don't answer the exit question. I'm going to break protocol and do so here. And I don't want this to be a conversation for now. But I'm just going to say, because I'm concerned about things I'm seeing behind the scenes in my text, in my inbox. The number one thing the right needs to do is, after Charlie is laid to rest, not destroy itself over Israel and the Jews and anti-Semitism. And I think there are some people that are going to try to take advantage of not having someone of Charlie's intelligence and the magnitude of his platform that could play a buffer between these two sides and maybe try to exacerbate this debate to an existential level. I think you've already seen a couple of previews of that here in the last week, unfortunately. And I can tell you that I know for a fact the other side of the debate is tired of taking it and tired of hearing it. And I think that our conservative Jewish friends are ready to go DEFCON 1 on this. And so I think that we need to make sure we don't immediately come out of this with all this unity and momentum and then immediately step on a rake and destroy one another with this. It'll be a generational mistake. And I'll have more to say about that later. Let's get to the kicker topic. Instead of predictions this week, I thought for a kicker topic, if you could eulogize Charlie with one word, what would it be and why? Aaron?
Courage. Charlie Kirk was well aware of the immediate and physical target that was on his back at all times. Not just organizationally, not just spiritually, definitely spiritually, but physically. He knew his life was in danger every time he stepped in to these campuses. And he did it anyway. He did it anyway. He did. Did. That's why I say if we have just an ounce of the strength and resolve of Erika Kirk, if we have the strength and resolve to do, then this will be a movement. But it's going to take courage.
We've got a minute left in the hour. Todd, go.
Rise. This is a faith question at the end of the day. Are we the nation founded on rights from God, or are we just going to keep making it up as we go along? We must rise in more ways than one.
Matt?
Perseverance. Because as St. Augustine says, I mean, that's the one grace you need to get all the way to the end. And that's what he did. And in everything he did, courage, faith, all those things, he always persevered to get better and to pursue the mission. And ultimately, he made it to the end doing the good.
I'm going to say apostolic. There's a few people that are very talented in multiple areas. And often if you're one of those, you're not necessarily excellent or elite at any of them. But, I mean, Charlie had apostolic levels of giftedness where he was excellent on multiple fronts, which is why it's such a massive void for us to fill. And starting next week, we'll begin to see if we are actually capable of it. Matt, it is good to have you again with us, brother. Thank you very much. Good to see you. God bless.
Thank you so much for having me. I didn't know how much I needed to be here with you guys until I sat here with you. Thank you.
Amen. Hour 2 is next. We're back with Hour 2, live and on demand here on Blaze TV, radio, and podcast. I'm Steve Deace here in Boise, Idaho for one more hour. And then Todd and Aaron are still back there in the studio. Look forward to being reunited with the fellas when we get back in studio on Monday. Until then, let us know what you think about what we think, and you can do that via the stevedeace.com inbox by emailing the show, steve@stevedeace.com. That's DEACE. Like us on Facebook, MeWe, and Gab. You can follow me at Steve Deace Show on X, Instagram, and TikTok. You can also make sure to subscribe to our new YouTube channel at Deace Show on YouTube. That's at Deace Show on YouTube. And then finally, if you love the podcast version, thank you. Please let others know you do by giving us a 5-star review. We appreciate you if you're one of the tens of thousands that have done that for us already. You can also hit subscribe, or if you listen via Apple iTunes podcast, you hit follow. And that's how you're going to know that every time we do one of these new episodes, it's there in your feed every single time. And we thank all of you that have done that for us as well. And we thank our friends over at Jace Medical. September is National Preparedness Month. So a great reminder for you to make sure you've got your Jace case backup of important antibiotics, medications that you never know. They might be the next ivermectins, the next hydroxychloroquines that suddenly are dangerous right when you need them the most, because we want to give you a failed cancer drug with a black box warning or a toxic genetic serum that doesn't work instead. And that actually happened. We all lived through that not too long ago. And that's right when Jace Medical came on board. In fact, they came on board because of those issues. That's why they came to us and said, hey, that can't ever happen again. And since then, they've grown quite a bit. Your options with them have grown quite a bit too. You can customize your Jace case to some of the medications, maybe even a lot of them, that your family and various aspects needs, to make sure you've got peace of mind. Hey, if we have more trade wars, there could be supply chain shortages, since China controls about 75 to 80% of the manufacturing of the world's antibiotic supply. All right. So now's the time to make sure that can never happen again, never happens again to you. All right. Go to jace.com, enter the code DACE at checkout for the discount. JASE for jace.com, code DEACE, my last name, code DACE at jace.com for the discount, code DACE at jace.com. Are you guys ready for some Feedback Friday?
Yep. I think so.
All right, now this week, guys, I mean, we have been besieged with emails. And let me also say this to you two. I should have said this at the top and I forgot. I mean, the amount of accolades I heard here last night in Boise, Idaho for the two of you was frankly very anemic. I'm just kidding. Actually, there was a ton of kind words for you guys. And a ton of people who said, hey, please make sure when you get back home and you get back on the air, let Todd and Aaron know how much we love them, and give them a shout out as well. And I wanted to make sure collectively, it's hard to remember everybody's names when 400 plus people show up to an event. But I heard a ton of accolades for you guys, which is good timing, because I was beginning to think you guys were really overpaid, especially you, Todd. So, I mean, those accolades could not have come at a better time. And so I wanted to pass those on to you guys. So congrats for that.
Thank you. Can you click your camera button again?
You're kidding me. Did it go out?
Todd, what do you have to say? There it is.
Go ahead.
There he is. There he is. Well, like I said, you asked me yesterday if I was worth 26%, and I just said I'll keep plugging along because I know the people love me. I mean, we're like this.
Indeed. Everybody says that about you. Todd Erzen, people person.
Yes.
Aaron, your thoughts on being liked?
Oh, that's hard to believe. I was trying to set up our connection with Matt today, and when I heard one of our engineers say he didn't know I could hear him, and he was like, freaking Aaron up in Iowa doesn't know what the hell's going on. I'm like, okay, great. So,
did that actually happen? Is that real?
Yeah, no, I think he was joking. I think he was joking. I don't know.
It'd be even funnier if he wasn't. That's hilarious. All right. You guys ready for some Feedback Friday now?
Let's go.
Okay. Now that we got the helmet stickers out of the way, we good?
Yep.
More love. Right. Love me.
All right. Now, this Feedback Friday, I have been besieged with emails. And while being on the road, I've not been able to cultivate these as much as I typically would. And I thought about just going with the stuff that we still have saved, but these emails are all about the moment we're in right now, guys. And I just kind of thought we need to deal with these notes as much as we can right now. So this may be a little scatterbrained as I'm trying to go through literally hundreds of emails in real time. And I've got some in like a cache of, all right, these are the ones we're going to talk about. So this may not necessarily be as organized as it typically is. So I just want to warn everybody. Okay. Let's start here with Jennifer, because this I saw last night. This I've heard. I saw this in DC. I see this anecdotally in what's happening on social media. Jennifer writes, my 5 kids aged 23 to 30, so right in your wheelhouse, Aaron. My 5 kids aged 23 to 30 are angry. However, they are being pushed closer to the Lord. I'm not sure some of their friends, though, are responding well. They need Christ before that anger turns into something else. So go hard, Steve, because our kids are going to go hard one way or the other. And thank you guys for what you do and praying for you all. I think that our generation, Todd, and our parents' generation maybe doesn't truly understand how viscerally angry the young generation on our own side really is. And that this is an MLK moment to them. They thought this was going to be their general for the next 20 to 30 years. And then they watched him just get murdered in cold blood, and then watched people in their own age group, and then maybe some of their own friends and family members on social media ghoulishly and demonically mock it. And I think that we still don't really understand, because we're just so used to making compromises because life in America was just so good. Well, this is now, we were already talking about this, guys, before, right? All right, so I can't finance a car. I can't get a home. It's hard to find a cute girl who isn't a feminist. You're handing me off trillions of dollars in debt. What are we doing here? What was the point? What's the deal? I don't understand. What covenant am I a part of here? And oh, by the way, remember those conversations, right? We were just having those just a few weeks ago, right? We were concerned about that. And now let's pile on. Hey, what'd you think about the fact we shot your leader in cold blood right to your face, and then mocked you right to your face afterwards? I think we have to come to grips with the anger, which I think much of it is very justified, of the younger generation on our side in particular, and how we are going to constructively channel that, as Jennifer is expressing that concern in her note. What do you think?
I'm absolutely certain you're right about your point that our generation has no idea. And that includes the churched. I mean, I was recently talking to parents involved in our children's school, Steve, and they were talking about the possibility of their kid going out to various colleges in the left and the East Coast. And they were talking, no sense of caution. They have no idea of the moment. And this is my point about we are eating the high class vomit now, Steve. Yum! Yum! You're right. We don't have NAID, which is why I'm very, very concerned about the stability of this moment. We are on defense. Now, we put up a darn good Ravens of whatever year that was when they had Ray Lewis. That level of defense right now. The offense has to come on the field very soon. And that's what I'm concerned about.
Yes, and just kind of shining a light on some of the conversation, at least my part of the conversation last week, I think after the show on Friday. I think you guys could sense that from me as well, because of the moment that this is, and understanding how left unchecked that this is from the left, what this will mean in the future. I was ready for that future. I was ready for that future. But it's time, while we still have power and ability to rein things in and to defeat the left peaceably, we still have to pursue that while we still can. But here's why this is such a visceral reaction to those in my generation and Gen Z. It is the external voices that are continuing to celebrate. But when we all saw that assassination, the first 4K viral assassination in the history of our planet, instantly, millions of Americans, millions of younger Americans who are on the political right or right adjacent, instantaneously felt that we are on the clock now, that it's just a matter of time before that bullet finds us. And I'm not making that up for effect. The level of justified paranoia now that all of us have is immeasurable. And if that justified paranoia is met with, well, here's 4 GOP congressmen who can't be bothered to censure Ilhan Omar, and then she's back at a Lutheran church last night in Minnesota talking about how you're full of bleep if you think Charlie Kirk was anything other than a racist. That happened. She's emboldened. That's a less. You don't punish evil. If you don't punish evil, evil will be emboldened. That played out in 24 hours. She's back in a Lutheran church last night in Minnesota, Ilhan Omar, after being saved by 4 GOP congressmen, just spewing her garbage. If this anger is not met, and I'm talking about from our side, with real and concrete plans to tear apart the left that did this to Charlie brick by brick And I think there's even some grace understanding that this isn't going to be accomplished in its totality in 3 years. But if it's not met with concrete steps, this thing's going to go off the rails in the next 10 to 15 years. I guarantee it. I guarantee it, if even that long. So that's why there's so much anger and angst, because as soon as we saw that, all of us felt like we were on the clock. And that changes people, because we're not wired, most of us, to be accustomed to the images that we saw on our phones last week. And understanding what this truly means. Bleep got real fast.
To put a point on this, everything we've just been saying, while we've been doing this show, AOC in Congress, quote, talking about Charlie Kirk, we should be clear about who Charlie Kirk was. His rhetoric and beliefs were ignorant, uneducated, and sought to disenfranchise millions of Americans.
The Americans she's talking about are illegal aliens, by the way. People that aren't in the country illegal, or aren't in the country legally. That's what she's referring to them as, Americans. That's what she means. I want to make sure, let me say to this audience what I said to the audience here in Boise last night. The prime directive of my show here is the biblical worldview. And as long as it is my show, it will remain the prime directive. But we go through times and eras where we have situational objectives. Like last year, we really felt like we had to win this election. It was an absolute must win. And given what's transpired in the last few weeks, my goodness, could you imagine if we had lost it? My new situational objective is, and I said this here in Boise to the group last night, is to make sure that these existential debates are going to be settled. All right, I want you to listen very carefully to what I'm about to tell all of you. 10,000 people showed up at Colorado State University last night to honor Charlie Kirk. He was supposed to speak there. Of course, he's not available now. And that's great that 10,000 people showed up, nevertheless, in that football stadium to honor him. But that won't be good enough. And if the plan is, hey, what happened here was bad, was wrong, we went there, we eulogized him, and then we went home. I just want you to know, and I'm just going to turn on Fox News and own the libs and share memes. If that's the plan, I promise you, you'll need to right now go to your children and grandchildren, go apologize to them for sentencing them to Antietam later, because it'll be your fault. Because we're now all, everybody knows stuff that gets said on shows like this wasn't paranoia, wasn't extremism, it was reality. It was observational science. We've all lived through it, and we're having the requisite responses to that now. So we know we are without excuse. We're no longer blindsided now. We can even say with COVID, well, mistakes were made, maybe it was a real thing, And, frankly, I kind of took part in the charade myself, so let's just forget the whole thing. Nope, this isn't that even. We all know now. Every one of us on our side knows what we are really up against, how far it will really go, and the amount of people, even in our own lives, that are caught in its grip of darkness. We all know now. And as Todd has said several times on this show here today, because of that, there is no turning back. We all know now. We all know. And I'm not the one turning my camera off, so I'm just going to say it's Satan. It's not me. All right? But we all know where we are. We all know where we are. And therefore, we are now aware of how far our enemy will go. I'm talking the real enemy, not the flesh and blood vessels that are caught in his deceptions, the real one. So my situational objective, and I think this one's probably going to last a while, is we have to take advantage of this momentum we have right now, this awareness of the moment and what we're up against that we have right now. And now I have been warning about this for, guys, haven't I, the last few years, that the window to do this aggressively but peaceably is closing. Have I not been saying that for the last couple of years on this show?
Yes.
It's closer to closed than ever before. We have to take advantage of this moment. Well, I'm in a contract year. Well, it'll cost me a job. It'll cost me a relationship. It may very well cost your children and grandchildren their lives and their way of life. We must now take advantage of this. The public shaming that we are doing must continue. Like I said yesterday, the excommunications will continue until morale improves. Whose morale? Ours. Until our morale improves. And we're not even close to improved yet. We're not even in the solar system of improved yet. So commence they shall. And if we don't, you're only 5 minutes away from a guy who thinks he can stand up in front of, well, we were told it was tens of millions. Maybe it was more like tens of thousands. But on one of the largest platforms ever devised on planet Earth, and just flat out lie and blame the people Charlie supported and was fighting for his murder. When you are willing to debase yourself in front of your enemy to that extent, when you are willing to dehumanize and gaslight your enemy to that extent, and you have no shame and no remorse, I am telling you right now, you're one step away, you're 5 minutes away from the blue and the gray. I promise you are. And if I'm wrong, I present as evidence every history book ever written. I present all history books as evidence of my claim. Because I'm right, and you know I'm right, you just don't want me to be. We have to take advantage of this right now. Todd is right, we've had one hell of a goal line stand here this week. But we have got to get on offense. Along the lines of the stuff Matt Peterson was talking about last hour. And it might mean one less fantasy football draft. Maybe you only have one or two this year for the foreseeable future. It might mean that. And if you're not willing to do that now, your sons are going to be like, remember when fantasy football was a thing? As they're either on trains or in a trench. Because that's where this is going. I don't want it to go there. I do not want it to go there. I am pretty confident at 52 years old and 241 pounds, I will not be fighting a civil war and am not qualified to do so. And that's probably true of most of those within the sound of my voice. So all that tough talk and everything else, yeah. It reminds me of the Rogan bro dudes who are like, yeah, man, scamdemic. Anyway, let me put my little Princess Maxie's mask on before we go into Costco again today. Ain't going to be us, man. Stop fronting. It's going to be your kids and your grandkids. And I kind of think if you've never been to a school board meeting, you're probably not prepped for a civil war. But maybe that's just me. This is our moment right now. And we have to seize it and we have to stick to it. If we don't, we already know how far the darkness will go. And as I said on this show yesterday, the worst thing we could do, it'd be better just to fire up the Comfortably Numb, Pink Floyd, because the worst thing we could do is now acknowledge that we understand where we are, and then the dog returns to its own vomit yet again. Because now, if you thought your enemy was emboldened before, oh boy. You don't want to know what he'll do next if we're that far gone. So, we fight an information war now. We fight a psyop war now. We fight a political war now. And we fight a cold civil war now. So that our children and grandchildren don't have to fight the real kinds later. And I'm all about not having and passing that on to my progeny on my watch while I can do something about it. And that is my number one situational objective right now. Gentlemen, do you have any thoughts on that?
We bang the drum on this. We'll see. If we'll know we're ready, you know, public sector teachers unions, done. Handling these anonymous hellholes and willing to deal with that. I mean, there are just things. How many fourth rails do conservatives have in terms of actually doing? I mean, pick one. Just pick one and crush it.
I'm not. That's not picking one at this moment in this hour. And I get what you're saying, Todd. I'm not trying to pull your pants down or anything. It's not good enough.
It's the
how
start.
many tens of thousands of employees are there at the FBI? How many tens of thousands of employees are there in the Department of Justice as a whole? In this moment, you've got a congresswoman out there on the floor of the House inciting violence. AOC. She's inciting violence because she's emboldened, because she saw what happened or didn't happen to her buddy Ilhan Omar. And so she's emboldened. So she's going to go out there and basically telegraph to everybody who agrees with her that it's okay to go out there and open season on conservatives. She's emboldened. What should happen immediately is she's expelled from Congress and tried for incitement or treason.
Pick that one. Fine.
Do freaking something. But no. The congressman from, was it Colorado, Hurd? No, I'm going to utter the name of a martyr to justify my status as certified quisling. That's not just not going to cut it. That's doom for all of us. It's just doom. So get busy living or get busy dying. Get busy doing or get busy getting demised, because it's what I'm seeing from leadership is way beneath. I mean, it's not even on the same plane as what I'm seeing from the rest of whatever this political coalition is.
And you know who's watching that? Right? Jake Tapper, also working over there. Same muckety mucks, racing right out to get on a comedian show as fast as they can. They're doubling down. They say, you might take out the comedian, but for what? Mere matter of days. We're going to go on this thing and give the impression you don't got the guts to make this long term.
Yep.
So that now we have to double down. Oh, yeah, you thought we were just starting with the comedians. Oh, okay. You're the next scalp. I mean, there's no other way around that. There is no other way. They're not afraid of what you just did with Tapper. It may have been necessary. It may have been a win, but it's not a boot to the throat win for them by any loss for them by any stretch of the imagination, which is why I said last hour, we must endure. This has to, you got to show me. You have faith, not just feelings in this moment.
I just want to double down that ABC News reporter, just off the cuff in the moment, and I think this is very instructive, who just heard deranged text messages, we think, between the assassin who was radicalized by leftist demonic forces to go out and murder Charlie Kirk. He just heard that exchange. And his first reaction, and this is instructive because he's probably of the left as well. Maybe he's not a hardcore lefty, but this was his first reaction. Oh, wow, this is a beautiful, touching story, a furry love story between a guy and who just loved his tranny roommate. That was their first reaction. Just looking for anything whatsoever to grasp a hold of. I think a lot more people are waking up to understand this is a zero-sum game. I'm going to keep repeating that. But I'm not sure how many people in power to do something about it even realize where we are. I think it's a small minority. And part of that minority, quite frankly, is in the White House with Stephen Miller, Vice President Vance, Donald Trump saying he's going to designate Antifa as a terrorist organization. That's a start.
And to your point, Steve, even if we do what's necessary, the odds might be 50-50 at best that we succeed. I mean, the hour is late. We've made so many mistakes. But if we... And that seems to bother people on the right more. Well, I don't know. Than the certainty that if we continue going down the road and not do something different, we will fail and our children will suffer.
Well, Madison knows what time it is by asking this question. Can we trust that the doctors, nurses, and hospitals that told us to take a poisonous jab to keep everyone safe, that is out there transing the kids and now has activists working for them celebrating the murder of Charlie Kirk, can we trust them to treat us?
I think about that all the time.
This is the very definition of a zero-sum game, is Madison's question right here. I mean, can you trust a doctor who is dancing the jig to watching Charlie Kirk get shot in the throat out in the hallway with his fellow nurses to then come in here when you're wearing a MAGA hat or a TPUSA swag hoodie or something with a broken leg or a serious injury? Can you just trust him? He'll put all that aside and look at you and treat you as a human being? Maybe some can. I promise you not all can. But these are the kinds of questions that merit asking now, guys, because it's very simple. It's very clear. This is in the water table now. This is in the water table now. These are the kinds of questions that require asking, given what we've witnessed in the era that we're in right now.
This is why my family doesn't go. And to the extent that we have recently with my daughter who needed leg surgery, we have these conversations. Okay, we know what you're entering into. It's tragic, but this is why my family does not. We do not go for regular normative. Get your checkup. Go in once a year. What? So they can make up all manner of things that are wrong with you. Plunge all manner of poison into your body.
Todd, you're going too far. I just don't know why you would have a problem with being seen by a doctor who took part in the white coat ceremony at the University of Minnesota last year that began with a land acknowledgement. I just think you're off your rocker, brother.
All right, when we come back, we're going to share a note on the discussion we had regarding Tyler Robinson's parents on the show earlier this week. And whether we were too hard on them, I will tell you, I'm bringing it up because it's something I have actually considered. That's why I think it's good for us to take checks as well, too. And maybe we won't agree. All right. But let's have that conversation and let's discuss that. Because I do think, in light of what I just said, if this stuff is in the water table now, there's really no such thing on one meta level. There really is no such thing as foolproof parenting anymore. If this stuff is this far into the water table now. But let's discuss that and more here as we finish up a Feedback Friday when we come back. Back here for one final segment here on the Steve Deace Show. And then after this, I'm heading from beautiful Boise. I mean, this is a beautiful community. And then heading back home to Iowa to see some beautiful people named Todd and Aaron yet again. They're back there in our beautiful studio. And we're brought to you by here ourselves. You can join our mission here at Blaze TV. Get a discounted subscription today. It costs you just $8 a month, 26 cents a day. I have to believe just this one show that we do, something was said today that is worth 26 cents to you. I have to believe that. If not, what are we even doing here? Not being worth 26 cents a day, I guess. All right. BlazeTV.com/Deace is where you can go get a discounted subscription to Blaze TV today. Use the discount code MyLastNameDeace, and that's how you'll get it for just 26 cents a day, $8 a month for a year. BlazeTV.com/Deace. Join the mission. You're missing out on a lot of exclusive content by not being a subscriber that you now can get access to. And here's the thing. You can go back in the archives and get all the stuff that you missed, too. All right, BlazeTV.com/Deace. Use the code Deace, and you get $20 off. BlazeTV.com/Deace. Use the code Deace. All right, let's continue on a Feedback Friday. And there's this one from Bill Dando, who is one of our subscribers at Blaze TV. And again, what I'm trying to do here, folks, we've gotten so many emails this week. I'm trying to come up with ones that are sort of speaking for what a lot of other people have said too, or more than one person. So a few of you have brought this to my attention, and I do think it's worthy of us reconsidering, given our agreement, our shared agreement, that the demonic influences, the political sadistic impulses, those kinds of things we are just decrying and mortified by, are seeped into the water table of the culture. I think we need to consider that maybe Bill might be right. All right, when he says this. With all due respect, I thought you guys were excessively critical of Tyler Robinson's parents on the show this week. None of you know what it's like to raise a child who rejects your values in spite of your most diligent prayers and efforts. Glenn Beck said they needed understanding. You said they needed criticism and judgment. I think Glenn is right, and you were wrong. Did Jesus blame the prodigal son's father and mother for his debauchery? I do not read the parable that way. And I think you guys may have placed yourselves in position of improperly judging someone without walking a mile in their moccasins. P.S. though, thank you very much for the Jace case discount. So I love that part at the end. And you're very welcome. Jace is certainly worth it. And I will say, I had a bit of a check in my spirit myself after we did that conversation. In fact, I was kind of starting to have it a little bit when we got to the end of the conversation, which is why I kind of brought up some of the points, the one point that I did towards the end of it. And I do think maybe we have to reconsider there just isn't any such thing in our day and age as foolproof parenting, given the amount of influences out there. So I think Bill has a point to at least consider. What do you guys think?
Well, nothing I said, and I don't think anything you two said either, should mean that any of us believed in foolproof parenting. Not just about this topic, but as we talk about life in general. We believe in sin. The prodigal son, actually, that's a really good argument. Okay. Let's find out then. I think the data based that we talk about all the time on the state of the church, the state of the men, the fact that we know that this kid was handed the rabbit hole of anonymous online forever here when he was 10. No, I think it's as likely as anything as that his life was put on cruise control with a lot of modern comforts and conveniences. But quite frankly, there's danger sides all over them, and there have been for quite some time. So I acknowledge the fact that you didn't just emotionally lash out, and the prodigal son example is a perfect one. I don't think you could have made a better argument. And if we do find out, but that's the thing. A lot of people just have a lot of excuses right now. The thrust of our overall message of this show, quite frankly, is not in contradiction to our assessment of this. They line up exactly. We're way too comfortable. We have way too many excuses. Our church is too soft. The men are weak. It is likely that there is a level of accountability for this family.
So, what I said is that I think we need more information, but I err on the side of the parents needing to do more or some sort of deficiency there. And this is more of a general commentary on what I see from parenting all over the place than anything, is that what Todd just said, we need to expect more along those lines. I don't want to put words in your mouth, Todd. I do agree the example is good of the prodigal son. And I'll say my heart, I might have said this the other day as well. I feel awful for those parents. Even if it was something that maybe they could have done better or differently, I feel awful for them. And this is one of those areas where the show Adolescence on Netflix went viral earlier this year. I had my own sets of problems with it. And the retconning of stories that it was based on, especially in the context of the United Kingdom, blah, 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 blah. But it was exceedingly well done. And it captures, I think, just heart-wrenching moments when when a parent is confronted with the fact that their child has done something heinous.
Mm-hmm.
And so my heart breaks for them for that. So I think in this circumstance, I think where I'm coming out or shaking out, especially after hearing that email, is that I'm neutral on this, and we still need to know more. But I just want to reiterate what I said the other day. I think if there's anything, even if it's not the parents' fault or they did their absolute best, and we'll give them every single benefit of the doubt as they are mourning in their own way, you have to get a clamp down on your kids' screens. You just have to. There is no excuse. That doesn't guarantee that they won't go out into the wild and become something that you don't recognize. There's no guarantees east of Eden other than Christ's love for us. But I just think this is in the New York Post story that came out last night, and I think The Guardian or one of the UK papers had it as well, that this Tyler Robinson was allegedly into some really dark, weird fetishes as well. You just have to train your children in the digital age. And that starts with clamping down access to screens. And I'm not saying that was what the parents did wrong. Like I said, I'm coming down neutral at worst on them on this when it comes to their involvement. But I do think that's a good example from the emailer.
Tom O'Connell says there have been a number of people complaining about firing teachers because they celebrated Charlie Kirk's murder. Have you heard from any parents who are comfortable with their child in a classroom with a teacher who approves shooting people who disagree with them?
This was the number one argument that I had against, hey, all these school shooters, why don't you arm the teachers? Mm-hmm. This was the number one argument I had against that. It's like, no, most of these teachers, not all, but most of these teachers are what you just laid out. A lot of maybe not even most, a lot of these teachers, too many of these teachers are probably like what you just laid out. I don't want them armed.
See, this is where my confidence in the future, when we talk about specifics and getting out of this moment, you have to deal with public education in a way that fundamentally changes the ballgame. You must crush teachers' unions. You must. A lot of schools, quite frankly, should be closed, terraformed into trade schools. But the number of small town, rural conservatives who we got this argument based on school funding in the past. I like my own little flat Earth over here, my own little private Idaho. And you just see how isolated they get in terms of, I have no duty as a citizen to the greater good. I just want mine. The I is crushing us. The selfishness, the comfort is crushing us. If we do not deal with public education, I don't care how strong your verbiage is or your white papers or anything else. You just keep sending these kids to these brainwashing factories. We got no shot.
Barbara Lawson in McConnell's, South Carolina says, I want to share with you a chilling moment that I had on Sunday in the Food Lion here in South Carolina. I heard a group of black folks laughing and came upon a group the group had a male and 2 adult females and 3 children. And they were all discussing Charlie Kirk's assassination. And the male said, smiling, they've got to know that they can be killed anytime in front of a bunch of people. And the rest of the group just kind of nodded and chuckled in response. And she ends it with, we are in deep trouble.
Yep.
Just.
What are you prepared to do?
Darkened hearts.
Yep.
Hardened hearts. I prayed and
again, that energy, we keep talking about the energy, Aaron, on our side.
Yeah.
That energy on their side, if we don't punish it, where will it go? That's why we're going to end up in Antietam, okay? If you think you can just step outside in broad daylight and discuss assassinations and racial genocides. And it's just free to do so. Then, do you guys know what the in-between step is there? What's the in-between? How many in-between steps are we from that to Antietam? And it can't be more than a couple. Am I overreacting here? How many steps is it, do you think?
No, let me put a. I'm always trying to find the right language to put a finer point on what you're saying, Steve. The American experiment is dead. It is a failure. What we have to do is the equivalent in the Superman Justice League movie. He's dead. We were once Superman, but we're dead. It must literally be risen from the grave. Not just tweaks, bells and whistles. Until you understand that. Because, listen, you had that moment, but you had that moment in the grocery store, and you're looking around, and we have all this stuff, and we go on, and we go make our pot of chili, and we go watch the football game, and on and on and on and on. We're dead. Even with all that stuff, we are dead. Reconcile. You have to start there. Charlie, dead. Killed for speech. Made out right now as we speak by one of the front runners for the next Democrat presidential candidate, AOC. Just spitting on his grave. Right out in the open. What are you prepared to do?
Progressivism is cancer. Leftism, leftism. It's all manners of stripes of this cancerous thinking. It is cancer. And we are in the organ failure phase of this. We are. There's no way around that. There's no two ways around that. We've sat here. November will be a decade I've been working on this show. Hundreds of shows a year. Thousands of shows over the past 10 years. Trying to find a different way to say the same thing. And that same thing is this. There is an enemy out there, spiritually and in the flesh, who again would rather enslave you than kill you. And if you don't let them enslave you, they will kill you. And we saw that. I prayed on Sunday at church for the softening of hearts. And we have to get ready to do two things. Pray that hearts will be softened while they still have time. And two, that Romans 13 would be made great again. And I don't mean that as some cheeky slogan. I mean, really, do we really understand in government what Romans 13 means? Do we really understand that to the evildoer, and yes, expressing glee over the murder of someone who expresses a different reality than you live in, expressing glee is not some value neutral, moral neutral thing. That is an evil doer. Do we really understand what it means to be a terror to the evildoer? I see a lot of people, yes, I think are starting to understand that. Does the government understand that? That we have control in? Do they truly understand that? Because it's way past time. The right people are terrified.
I want to close with this. This is a note from Dave Jew, J-U-E. And a lot of you did this. I mean, literally hundreds of you sent me responses from your pastors as to why they did not say anything about Charlie Kirk on Sunday at church. I want to read this one from Dave, and I'm going to resist the temptation. He sent me the actual email from his pastor. I have his name, the name of his church. Everything within me wants to out this fool. But on the 1% chance that Dave just made the entire thing up, I'm not going to do that. In fact, I'm going to grant him a level of benefit of the doubt by not doing so that he's clearly not willing to grant his martyred Christian brother. I want to read one excerpt. This is from Dave's pastor. In the case of the assassination of Mr. Kirk, we also have to be considerate of the fact that there are a variety of different opinions in our congregation about his work. Because we are a church that focuses on allegiance to Jesus as a primary focus, and that promotes diversity of political, social, and theological and cultural opinion under that banner, we are blessed to have a congregation with lots of breadth. This means that while you think of Mr. Kirk as an evangelist, there are many in our fellow Christian and a martyr. There are many in our church who think that his death was not religiously motivated, but rather motivated by his statements about minorities, women, the Jewish state, gun violence, and conspiracy theories. While this doesn't change the atrocity of his murder, it does change the shape of the way they grieve his death. For them, his political agenda marred his ability to accurately reflect the heart of Christ. They don't matter more than the guy who freaking got murdered.
It's the spirit of Antichrist. It's the spirit of Antichrist.
That's exactly what it is. And man, I want to tell you right now, apostles and not assassins has never been tested on this show more in the last 2+ years than this moment right now. Because I got this guy's name, I've got his church, and oh my goodness, do I want to make him famous. But on the 1% chance this is not a real email and not true, I won't.